Okay, so we're going to do solving equations with decimals and decimal busters, which is a strategy we can use to get rid of the decimals in our fractions so we can work with whole numbers. All right, so our first problem is 5.2 plus x equals 10.95. Oh, this one is not too bad. If I was just to solve this like I normally would solve any equation, I have a positive 5.2 adding x and I get 10.95. I want to get x all alone, so I'm going to subtract 5.9 or 5.2 from both sides. Now, my goodness, I need to write this better. I'm subtracting, and if you are not very good at your rules with decimals, you want to be very careful. When you are adding and subtracting, you have to line up the decimals. And then there's other strategies here when we're multiplying and dividing that we can go over in just a minute. But we subtract. So 5 minus 0 is 5. Come on, there we go. 9 minus 2 is 7. My decimal just goes straight down from my problem. I can't do 0 minus 5, so I borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. So I get x equals 5.75. That was not too bad of a problem. However, if I wanted to get rid of the decimal instead, if I didn't want to work with decimals because I'm not very comfortable with decimals, especially when it gets into multiplying and dividing with decimals, and positives and negatives, this one was just luckily a pretty easy one for us. We get rid of the decimals by doing this strategy called decimal busters. And I look at the two decimals. My 2 goes into the tenths place. And my 10 and 95 hundredths goes into the hundredths place. Okay, so in order to get rid of my decimals, I have to go with the bigger number, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. To get rid of a number in the tenths place, I multiply by 10. To get rid of a number in the hundredths place, I multiply by 100. 10.95 times 100 would move the decimal 2 places to the right, and this becomes 1,095. But whatever I do to one thing, I have to do to the other, just as a reminder for us. So whatever number I have to multiply, whatever number goes out further in our place value, we want to multiply by that number so that we can get rid of all of the decimals. So I'm going to multiply everything by 100, which means I'm multiplying 10.95 by 100, x by 100, and 55 and 2 tenths by 100. So multiplying by 100 moves our place value 2 places. And if you don't have another number there, you add a 0. So this is 520 plus x, and this is 1x. So multiplying 1x by 100 would be 100x equals 1,095. Now I have whole numbers that I can work with. I need to take away 520 from each side to get x all alone. Still getting the same numbers, except for now they're whole numbers instead of decimals. This makes a 0 pair. I'm left with 100x equals 575. All right, now I need to divide by 100 on both sides to get 1x, because I just want to know 1x. I don't want to know what 100x is. So, just a little trick for you. If you are dividing by 100, it's moving your decimal 2 places to the left instead of 2 places to the right. So this would be 5 and 75 hundredths. So same answer as we got up top, but I got rid of my decimals. So it just really depends on how comfortable you are with your operations with decimals. So let's do another example here. All right, so this one, we have 2x minus 3 and 25/100 equals 7 and 15/100. So this goes out to the hundredths place, this goes out to the hundredths place. Ooh, but I forgot. I'm going to do it the regular way first, without decimal busters. So I want to get x all by itself, so I'm going to add 3 and 25 hundredths to both sides, lining up my decimals. This makes a 0 pair. I'm left with 2x equals, and then I have 5 and 5 is 0, 2, 3, 4, decimals straight down, and 10. Okay, now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. I'm going to remind you what it looks like to divide with decimals. The top number goes on the inside, and I'm just going to do 10.4 because that's the same thing as 10 and 40/100. And the second number goes on the outside when we divide. Now, this one is a nice easy one for us because this number doesn't have a decimal, so I don't really have to worry about moving anything. I have some videos on how to divide with decimals and multiply with decimals if you are interested. So 2 goes into 1 0 times, but it goes into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10, so I put the 10 down, I subtract, I'm left with 0, bring down the 4, and the decimal does go straight above it in our problem here. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and that would be, goodness, that would be 4. So I subtract, and I'm left with 0. So my answer is 5 and 2/10, or 5 and 20/100. Now, if I was not liking the decimals there, I can get rid of them. So like I said before, these all go into the hundredths place. So to get rid of them, I have to multiply everything by 100. So 100 times 7 and 15/100, 100 times 3 and 25/100, 100 times 2x. So 100 times 2x is 200x. Moving our decimal over twice, I'm going to subtract 325. Moving it over twice, I'm going to get 715. Now I solve just like normal. Add 325 to both sides. And we have a 0 pair here. I get 200x equals goodness gracious, I knew I made a mistake. 5 and 5 is 10. I need to carry my 1 up top there. Okay, so I get 200x equals 1040. So I am going to divide both sides by 200. 200 goes in to 1,000. It goes in 5 times, and that would be 1,000. So I'd have 40 over 200 left, which is really 4 over 20, which is really 2/10. So x equals 5 and 2/10. It doesn't truly matter, but usually when you are given the fraction, or given the problem as a decimal, you want to give your answer as a decimal. If the problem is a fraction, you want to give the answer as a fraction. So my decimal answer would be 5 and 2/10. Again, there's lots of ways that you can solve these equations. You just need to find the way that you understand the best.